There's a new system to which you can get 6 new items to catch up with everybody in Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. Let's check it out. So with the new system, every time you kill a boss in a dungeon that is over level 55, so that is BRD and up, you can get 1 new currency per day. And stay tuned because we're gonna talk about the math on how to do it the fastest way possible. That's the Tarnished Undermine Real. Or real, I don't know, it's like the Brazilian currency, something like that. I don't speak Portuguese. What you need to know about this item is that you can only get it from one boss one day. Remember in Phase 3 when the best way to get your coin was just to skip everything to one boss and kill that boss over and over and over again? Well, you cannot do it anymore. So now you need to kill each boss every single day to get your currency. We also know now after day which bosses drop which items, so we know that there is a total of 65 possible bosses you can kill in total to get the currency. So that is 65 currencies per day that you can get if you run Scholomance, if you run Dire Maul or the Wings, if you run Stratholm, Blackrock Depths, the later part. The first part doesn't drop it for some reason. And of course, Lovers and Ubers. And that's pretty much it. Now there is way too many items to check out here. It is gonna be in total about 6 items depending on your spec. You might get all of them, you might get a few of them. But there's a lot of really good stats. For example, there's a ring for caster, for melee, for tank, for example. There's one for the hunters right here, 1% crit and main pet. I mean, that's a little weird. There's one for casters right here, which has like frost shield that actually stuns you. I think that's really cool. That's for PvP, of course. There's a feral druid one with hit on it. This one gives you 110 energy, so this will be beyond best in slot for a bunch of, probably the rogue best in slot, yeah. There is also one defensive one for healers. As you can see, none of the rings are like insane for PvE. They are more intended for PvP, but it is really good catch-up gear, and there is a lot of them because what is the melee one really? It is just another Blackstone ring, another, what is Band of the Wild, the one you get from the currency from Phase 3. Nobody's gonna farm Phase 3 anymore, that takes way too long, so you might as well get this one now that you can get it from the new one, you know, just to stay caught up. Look at this one for the Beast Mastery Hunter, for example. A 10% more armor, 3% more health, 3% more damage, 2% more crit, all for the pet. That's gonna be really interesting to see. I wonder if Beastmaster is gonna take off a little bit this phase. There is also a healing mace, very similar to the one you can get in BRD, for example. There is also, right here, a one-handed axe that has hit on it. And it is kinda slow, so it is really good Prebis. If you're a warrior, you might as well get this one. It is better than the Sunken Temple ones, except of course the fist weapon with Wind Fury on it. That's probably the best one, but there is a stuff that is probably intended for feral druids, but I don't think this is that good. I mean, the DPS is good on it, sadly. I don't know. Can we get 200 Fury Warriors using this? A little too fast, I guess. There is also an 18 Slaughter bag you can buy. There is another Libran that gives you mana when you block. This one is gonna be beyond busted. I think we're gonna see a lot of like solo farming, especially with the new Consecration Self-Heal. I think we're gonna see a lot of paladins like AoE farming outside, getting their gold that way. That's gonna be really cool to see. There are idols, relics for every single class. There are for shamans too. There are the Totem of Lightning Bolt, which it is 0.1 seconds faster. I think that one is gonna be pretty useless. There is 50 attack power right here that you can get with one of these totems for enhancement. That one is probably really good. All the totems for the shaman are pretty useless. There is even more mana for shaman tanks. I haven't checked out the shaman tank since Phase 2, guys. Are they still having mana issues? I don't think they are. And there is also one that makes your healing rain instant, so that's interesting. The druid gets like a slightly longer insect swarm. I like insect swarm. I think people sleep on that spell a lot. There is 5 less energy cost for rake and reap. Of course, people do not use rake in your rotation, and reap is only a finisher, so this is pretty useless, pretty negligible. Oh, look at that. Every time your lacerate ticks, you get 3 rage. That's insane. This one right here is gonna be probably best in slot the whole phase if you're a bear. That's a lot of rage. And also you can get some mana when you're doing regrowth. How much is rank 1 regrowth? So it is 120 mana and you gain 25 mana back. Yeah, you're not gonna break even. I don't think that one's gonna be very good. There's a couple more items too. There is a belt for casters with hit on it. It is pretty much the same as the item as the Vantok Sash, you know, from BRD arena runs. So pretty useless probably. Wouldn't spend my money on that. There is also this dagger that is a broken bottle. That's funny. It is pretty fast, it has really good DPS, and it has 1% crit on it, so it's not gonna be best in slot, but you're probably gonna see a lot of people that wanna get this one to like skip the grind a little bit. Sadly, it is only main hand, so if it was one hand and you could use it in either hand, that would be a lot better. There's also a decent wand, nothing crazy here, just spell power, and there is this item that turns you into a goblin. Isn't that funny? I left the one that I think is the coolest coolest for last, and that's the abandoned wedding band. This right here is like another vigilance. You put this on somebody and you get 5% of their threat to you. I think this is huge. I told you a long time before, guys, that tanks have a threat modifier. Most tanks, is there any tank that doesn't have one yet? No, they all have at least 15%. So 5% of their threat is multiplied by your stuff, so you keep getting more threat than you take away from them. But either way, this is when you put it on like a DPS that always goes out the line. You take like the biggest pomper in your raid, you put it on them, and there you go. You get like 5% of their threat. That's gonna be a really nice boost. I am a huge fan of Vigilance. They are saying they are gonna nerf it. Please do not nerf it, Agrand. Why would you nerf the one rune of the warrior that isn't stupid? So many good candidates to nerf. Why are you gonna nerf Vigilance? Please don't do it, Agrand. Sorry about the side note. I get really sensitive about the topics of stupid runes. But this will be a huge equalizer because effectively this is gonna be 5% more threat for any other tank. A little more probably, maybe. Depends on the balance between the DPSers doing threat and you. Especially for people that do not have a lot of gear. This is probably gonna be the first item I buy. Of course, it is probably intended for the bear. That's why they put armor on it. Because the bear has the armor modifier. What is it, 6 times more armor? I forget. But it should be pretty good for most tanks. Of course, people hate Vigilance, they take Shield Mastery, and people are probably gonna hate this ring because people would rather parse well and get good DPS for the logs than actually hold aggro. That's just the world we live in. I swear to God, man, if a shaman wants to dual wield tank in my raid, I'm leaving. I am so done with it. I was kind of okay dealing with it back when phase 2 was happening because at least they could hold aggro back then. Now it's just like a meme. I hate it. Also, perhaps the most controversial topic yet, there is a very expensive, very rare item that is not gonna be that expensive or rare anymore thanks to this new system, and that's the flask recipes. Take a look right here. Flask of Petrification, Flask of the Titans. I think this one in particular used to go for like 2,000 gold back in Classic when it came out in 2019, I don't remember. Flask of Wisdom, Flask of Supreme Power, Flask of Chromatic Resistance. This one is probably like 300 gold. Used to be in like a vanilla server, I don't even know. But these are all recipes that are very rare, very hard to get, and they costed thousands of gold in the auction house. And now you can get it with just one tiny day of farming dungeons. So that's gonna be pretty nasty. People are not gonna be happy about that one. Regardless, guys, this is how the math is gonna work. For the worst case scenario or best case scenario, depending how you wanna look at it, if you can use 6 of the items in this list, you're gonna get this price right here, because you're gonna have to use 3 items that are 50 coins. Then you're gonna take 2 items that are 25 coins, because you can use 2 rings, for example, and 1 item that is 15 coins. That should be your Libram, your totem, your whatever. So that's a total of 215 tokens you gotta get to get your Prebis, if that's the worst case scenario here. And we take 215 and we divide it by 66, and that's a little over 3 days. So in 4 days... Oh, there's a tire advertisement. They are reading my mind. In 4 days, you should get all the best in slot you can get. So you can get all the items. If you're watching this video now and you follow what I tell you just now, you still got time to get all the items before the raids come out. So get to work, boys. And speaking of work, subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.